Imagine walking into a store. The shelves are packed with different soft drinks: Pepsi, Sprite, Fanta, energy drinks, flavored water. But without hesitation, your hand moves toward a Coca-Cola. You don't stop to compare the labels. You don't check if another drink is cheaper. You don't even think about trying something new. Your brain has already decided, this is what I want. But why? Why does Coca-Cola feel like the natural choice? Why does it seem familiar, comforting, and even necessary at times? It's not just the taste. It's not just the branding. It's something much deeper, something happening inside your brain, shaped over years without you realizing it. The answer lies in a theory created over a century ago by a man who wasn't even thinking about business. He wasn't a marketing expert, an advertiser, or a salesperson. He was a scientist studying dogs. Yes, dogs. His name was Ivan Pavlov, and his groundbreaking discovery didn't just change psychology. It changed the way companies influence consumers, shaping the decisions you make, sometimes without you even noticing. Ivan Pavlov was a Russian scientist, born in 1849. He was not a businessman, not a marketer, and certainly not someone thinking about selling products. He was a physiologist, a man devoted to understanding how the body works. His main focus was not on human behavior in stores or advertising techniques. He was simply trying to study digestion. At first, his research was straightforward. He wanted to understand how saliva helped with digestion, so he began conducting experiments on dogs. But during these studies, something strange happened. Something that had nothing to do with digestion, but would later change psychology, marketing, and even the way businesses operate. Pavlov noticed that every time his assistants brought food to the dogs, they would start salivating before they even ate. That made sense. After all, the food triggered their natural digestive response. But then, he saw something even more unusual. The dogs started salivating when they heard the footsteps of the assistants, even before seeing the food. Curious about this reaction, Pavlov decided to take the experiment further. He introduced a simple sound, a bell. Every time he fed the dogs, he rang the bell. At first, the dogs didn't react to the bell alone, but after several repetitions, something incredible happened. The dogs started salivating just from hearing the bell, even when no food was present. This was a breakthrough. The dogs had learned to associate the bell with food. Their brains had been trained to respond in a specific way, even when the original trigger, food, was missing. Pavlov had just discovered classical conditioning, a psychological process where a neutral stimulus, the bell, becomes linked to an automatic response, salivation, through repetition. This finding was more than just an interesting experiment with dogs. It proved something essential about the brain. Behavior can be shaped by repeated exposure to certain cues. And once that connection is made, it's hard to break. Even if the food was removed, the dogs still salivated at the sound of the bell. At the time, Pavlov had no idea that his discovery would be used far beyond scientific labs. But decades later, businesses would take this simple concept and apply it to consumers, shaping the way people respond to brands, advertisements, and even product packaging, without them even realizing it. Coca-Cola, the master of Pavlovian marketing. Coca-Cola is one of the best examples of Pavlovian consumer behavior in action. Think about it. When you see a Coke, you don't just see a soft drink. You feel something: happiness, refreshment, nostalgia, even a sense of belonging. It's as if your brain has been trained to associate Coca-Cola with positive emotions. And that's exactly what has happened. This response didn't happen by chance. It's the result of decades of conditioning, a carefully crafted strategy where Coca-Cola has repeatedly exposed consumers to specific sights, sounds, and emotions, shaping the way they react to the brand. Just like Pavlov's dogs learned to salivate at the sound of a bell, you have been conditioned to crave Coke at certain moments. When you see the iconic red can, hear the sound of a bottle opening, or even watch a commercial featuring smiling friends enjoying a cold Coke. Let's break down how Coca-Cola has mastered this psychological technique. The power of color. One of the most powerful triggers Coca-Cola has used is color psychology. The brand's signature red and white combination isn't just a design choice. It's a psychological tool that has conditioned you to associate Coke with excitement, energy, and refreshment. Red is a color that naturally stimulates the brain. It increases heart rate, creates a sense of urgency, and is often linked to feelings of passion and excitement. Over time, Coca-Cola has strengthened this association by making sure you see its signature red color everywhere on cans, billboards, vending machines, commercials, and even in holiday campaigns featuring Santa Claus dressed in Coca-Cola red. Now, here's where classical conditioning comes in. The more your brain sees the color red in Coca-Cola's branding alongside positive experiences, like laughter, fun, and social gatherings, the more it links those emotions with the brand. Eventually, the color itself becomes a trigger. Even if you remove the Coca-Cola logo, a red can in the soft drink aisle can still make you think of Coke. Your brain has been trained to recognize it, just like Pavlov's dogs recognized the bell. 2. The sound of happiness. Have you ever noticed the distinct sound when you open a bottle of Coca-Cola? That crisp, refreshing sound of carbonation escaping isn't just a byproduct of the drink. It's a carefully reinforced psychological trigger. Think about Coca-Cola's commercials. How many times have you seen someone open a bottle, hear that signature "st," and then take a sip, looking instantly refreshed? This is no accident. Coca-Cola has made sure this sound appears in countless ads, always paired with images of smiling people, hot summer days, and pure satisfaction. Over time, this repetition has conditioned your brain to link that sound with refreshment. You hear it and suddenly you feel thirsty, even if you weren't before. Your body reacts as if it's about to experience something cool and satisfying, just like Pavlov's dogs salivating at the sound of a bell. This is why, even in a silent room, just the memory of that sound can make you crave a Coke. The conditioning is so strong that the simple "st" has the power to trigger desire, making you reach for a bottle without even thinking. 3. Emotional advertising. Coca-Cola doesn't just sell a soft drink, it sells feelings. When you watch a Coca-Cola commercial, it's never just about a bottle of soda sitting on a shelf. Instead, it's about family gatherings, best friends laughing together, couples enjoying a sunset, or people celebrating special moments. These ads are not just entertainment, they are conditioning tools. Every time you see Coca-Cola associated with joy, love, and connection, your brain stores that information. Over time, you don't just crave Coca-Cola because you're thirsty. You crave it because your brain has learned to associate it with happiness. It's the same reason Coca-Cola has invested heavily in Christmas advertising, making Santa Claus a central figure in its marketing. How businesses use this everywhere. Coca-Cola isn't the only company using Pavlovian conditioning. Many businesses apply these psychological principles to influence consumer behavior, often without people realizing it. From the food industry to tech giants, companies have mastered the art of triggering automatic responses in customers, just like Pavlov's dogs. Fast food chains, the power of colors. Ever wondered why McDonald's, KFC, and Burger King all use red and yellow in their branding? That's not a coincidence. These colors are carefully chosen because they trigger hunger and excitement. Red increases heart rate and stimulates appetite. Yellow is associated with energy and happiness. Over time, people have been conditioned to associate these colors with fast, delicious food. When you see the golden arches of McDonald's, your brain doesn't just think of a restaurant, it expects food. Even if you weren't hungry before, seeing that familiar red and yellow sign can suddenly make you crave fries. Tech companies, branding that feels like a lifestyle. Apple doesn't just sell gadgets, it sells a feeling. Through years of advertising, Apple has conditioned people to associate its products with simplicity, clean designs, easy-to-use interfaces, innovation, futuristic product launches, status and exclusivity. Owning an Apple device feels like belonging to a special group. The moment you see that glowing Apple logo, your brain doesn't just see a phone or a laptop. It remembers the emotions Apple has linked to its brand: effortless technology, sleek design, and being ahead of the curve. This conditioning makes people willing to pay premium prices, often without considering alternatives. Retail stores, controlling the shopping experience. Have you ever noticed how supermarkets play slow, relaxing music? That's not just to make the atmosphere pleasant. It's a strategic move based on Pavlovian conditioning. Studies show that slow music makes shoppers stay longer, leading them to buy more. Fast music creates urgency, making people shop quickly, useful for high-traffic stores. Similarly, stores like Sephora and Abercrombie and Fitch use signature scents to create a unique shopping experience. If you've ever walked into an Abercrombie store, you probably remember the strong cologne smell. That's not an accident. It's conditioning. After multiple visits, your brain begins to link that scent with the brand. Even if you smell it elsewhere, it can make you think of Abercrombie and trigger the desire to shop. The bottom line: Pavlovian conditioning isn't just an old psychology theory, it's a powerful tool used in everyday business. Whether it's the color of a logo, a familiar sound, or an emotional ad, companies know how to train your brain to react automatically. And once that conditioning is in place, they don't have to convince you to buy. You'll do it on your own.